And tonight in Your America Now, you may remember when the left-wing liberal actress Janeane Garofalo had this to say regarding the attendees of the anti-tax Tea Parties.
It's not about bashing Democrats. It's not about taxes. They have no idea what the Boston Tea Party was about.
That's right.
They don't know their history at all. This is about hating a black man in the White House. This is racism straight up.
Well, our own Griff Jenkins recently confronted Miss Garofalo just outside of Boston and asked her if she stood by those ridiculous, insane comments. Let's take a look.
What do you think of calling just honest protesters racist?
Because they're not just honest protesters. They were indeed motivated a lot by racism. You saw some of those signs, did you not? And if they are upset about fiscal imprudence, where were they for the last 8 years?
But you don't know they're racist.
I have a good sign. What about that one sign that said, "What you're talking about, Willis"? What do you think about that sign?
I didn't say that. I'm just asking you.
Right.
What do you say to the people that say, all right, you owe those people an apology?
I don't. So they're going to have to wait a long time. So I'd say I don't.
And what about to the people that say that NBC should not let, your comments go unchallenged?
How do they go unchallenged? They're being challenged all the time. And why, I would say, why do they not challenge anything that Fox says? I don't want to talk about this with you because you're obviously trying to provoke something here. If you don't want to admit the truth about the racist element to those people that were there, then I would say that you are in deep denial.
That's not what you said. You said everybody involved was a racist.
Sure.
You hate conservatives. That's the bigotry that you condemn.
They are not conservatives. Barry Goldwater is a conservative. The Conservative Party has not been the Conservative Party since 1980. There is no tenets of the conservative movement. Why are you even here? What are you guys? I'm going to get Starbucks. You guys are ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what we are.
You're saying what the movement was about.
Where are you guys from? What's your thing? Yeah, it was racist.
How so, though? That's all I'm asking.
Because if it's about fiscal imprudence, why were they not protesting for the last 8 years under the Bush spending? Where were they? Why did they have no problem with that?
And again, no need to apologize.
No. I'm not talking about this anymore. I stand by my words. I do not apologize.
Everybody at a Tea Party are racist.
Yes, everybody I saw at that Tea Party are racist.
Amazing.
It is amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. How dare I?
There you have it. Griff Jenkins joins me now. Griff, boy, this one angry liberal, if I've ever seen one. To walk us through how this all happened.
All right, well, let me tell you, Sean, look, I was the reporter in Washington, D.C. on April 15th. I stood for 12 hours in the pouring rain and covered those protesters. They were honest American protesters protesting the billions spent, the bailout, the trillions in the budget deficit. And I didn't see any pointy white hats. I didn't see any racist signs. And so I've been interested in this story because no one has challenged Ms. Garofalo on her comments, this gross generalization that everyone was a racist. I didn't see one racist in my Tea Party, but perhaps there were some elsewhere. Well, I wanted to ask her what's going on. I went to her comedy performance in Somerville, Massachusetts, Sean, to find out if she was going to talk about it. I was sitting outside on a lovely Friday afternoon having a latte outside of Starbucks, and she happened to come there. And so I said, hey, I want to ask you a question. And she stood firmly, as you just saw, behind her statements and seemed bitter that I would ask her about it.
But beyond the broad generalizations of Janeane Garofalo, I mean, we just had news today that we have a $1.8 trillion deficit, which is 4 times the number in 2008. But she makes these broad generalizations. She's unchallenged, as you pointed out, by NBC News. Now, they're supposed to be a credible news organization. You would think that if they're going to make these accusations, I was in Atlanta, over 20,000 people. I saw signs, lower our taxes. I didn't see one racist sign, one racist person by anybody anywhere. So, what does that say about a news organization that would allow her to go unchallenged?
Well, it certainly surprises me. I mean, look, the host just says, oh, okay, yeah, they're all racist about hating a black man. Let's just move on. What? Are you kidding me? And then there's no follow-up from any other representative from that network or another one. So I think it was very legitimate to go and ask her about it. Now, let me just tell you, I don't go on the air and call a woman bitter because I'm not sure that that's nice, and that's not the way my mom and dad raised me. But I watched her more than 50 minutes comedy show, which was about anti-religion, anti-marriage, anti-children. She's mad about things. She's pessimistic. She has serious issues, in my opinion. She came out with her hair kind of cut, and she said she was so nervous that Tea Party protesters were going to disrupt her comedy routine that she cut chunks out of her hair. I don't understand. It's like I wanted to just say, be happy. Sean, she started the show with this quote. if there's any tea baggers here, welcome. And as always, white power.
Well,
it's unbelievable that she would do that.
I have some experience. I actually went over to a radio studio once, and I tried to be on a radio show, have a civil discussion. I mean, it seems that this is very characteristic of the left, and she spent most of the time in the breaks, you know, on the floor, petting her dog and laying next to her dog. I mean, it's just bizarre. But I see this with Bill Maher, for example. Bill Maher has become an angry, bitter guy. You know, we saw this in these comments that we were just discussing, you know, with Wanda Sykes over the weekend. We see this with Garofalo. If Republicans or conservatives ever use the same type of humor or language, there would be calls immediately to have them removed from the airways. So that's where the double standard lies, right?
Well, it certainly seems so to me. Why is she or any other liberal so mad? I mean, look, I'm fair and balanced. I'm a reporter. I'm just looking at it objectively going, what else do you want? You have a very charismatic president who is making lots of decisions in the White House. You have control of the Senate. You have a filibuster-proof Senate. You have control of the House. You have a first woman as the Speaker of the House. What else do you want? To win the lottery?
I think that's probably it. Griff, thanks for everything. Appreciate it. Well, pretty angry. By the way, Tom Brokaw, are you proud of your network?